His death came as a huge surprise to me. My father, the charmer he is, always says, the only surprise is how long he lasted. My brother had issues with depression and addiction, and he'd been in and out of rehab since high school, but he'd never attempted something like this before. What he had done is fall off the wagon over and over again. Maybe I'm an idiot for putting this kind of hope into an addict, but this time felt different. He'd been sober for a few months, his longest run ever. Gotten a job. He was doing really well from what I could tell. He even started to talk about becoming a writer. I'd never known him to have a dream, so this was really big for me. What I'm trying to say is he didn't seem like someone who was planning to kill himself. He seemed like he was really determined to stay sober this time. I got my hands on his journal a few days ago. I knew he'd been keeping one since he got out of rehab, and I was really hoping there'd be some kind of clue as to what happened. Honestly, I have no idea what to make of its contents. If taken at face value, it looks like he might have had some kind of psychotic break or something like that. But like I said, he seemed to be in a relatively good place. If he was gonna snap, I feel like it would have happened when things were really bad for him, which they were for years. I spoke to him a few times before it happened, and he seemed pretty lucid, like he didn't say anything that raised any red flags or hinted that he might be hallucinating. Even his writing reads like it always did if you ignore the subject matter. Yeah, I've been up for days, poring over his journal, trying to make heads or tails of what he was going through. I hit a wall, honestly. It's just that it isn't adding up. I'm hoping that stepping away from it for a couple of days will give me a fresh perspective. I'm going to post his journal entries here in the meantime. Not quite sure what I'm hoping for, but it feels wrong to sit around and do nothing. I think it's important to mention that there was literally hundreds of entries in his journal. I'm only posting the ones I think are relevant to his breakdown. Entry 1. April 12th, 2019. I posted my first story on Reddit today. Didn't get much attention, so I ended up taking it down. One of the few people who did see it DM'd me. He, I assume, said he liked the way I wrote and that he needed some authors to beta test a program that he and his team had been working on. He asked if I was interested. I mean, I wasn't, but I was. I'm not a accepting offers from internet strangers kind of guy, but people aren't exactly scrambling to hire me right now. Most employers aren't interested in a guy that got caught stealing painkillers from the pharmacy he worked at. Shocker, I know. Well, I waited a few minutes to see if someone with a job offer was going to knock down my door at the last second. And when that didn't happen, I accepted the Reddit guy's offer. We exchanged emails, he sent me a bunch of crap to sign, including a non-disclosure agreement. Not sure who he thought I'd be telling. Beta testing software isn't exactly something that you shout from the rooftops. Well, I'm expecting to spend at least 8 hours a day during the week working on the program. God, I can already feel my back cramping. Whatever, it pays well enough. It's not like I'm doing anything better, so I start tomorrow. Time I thought about drinking today, 25. Times I thought about pills today, 18. Cigarettes smoked, 6. Entry 2, April 11th, 2019. Holy hell. Okay, that took me 2 hours. 2 hours to get through the instruction section of the program. I read all sorts of stuff about character types and what I can and cannot do with the program. There's a lot of mention of something called the Storyscape, but I'm still not entirely sure on what that is. I didn't ask what kind of program it was, but I figured I didn't need to. There aren't many programs one would need writers to test. To the best of my knowledge, it's a collaborative life simulator, according to instructions, which, by the way, took me 2 hours to read. I know I said it already, but I'm still pissed about it. These tech nerds really blow my mind. They can create a whole collaborative whatever, but a simple summary is completely outside the realm of possibility. I'll be responsible for watching over a character, following their day-to-day life and intervening in subtle ways to make stuff happen. What exactly that stuff is will be defined by assignments given to me by the program. See? That wasn't so hard, was it? Anyway, I guess that makes some kind of video game. Cool. I like video games. I've managed to break the instructions down into a few important bullets. I'm going to write them down here so I don't have to slog through the crap again if I forget something. An author must complete every assignment they're given. Failure to do so will result in termination of their contract. There are two types of characters, complex and throwaway. Once a character is created, it cannot be deleted. It exists within the storyscape and will perform actions until its death. An author can create throwaway characters to perform a specific task. Complex characters cannot be created by an author. Only an admin can create complex characters. Complex characters have free will. Their decisions and subsequent actions are their own. Free will. I didn't make that up. That was actually in the instructions. Long-winded and melodramatic. Finally clicked out of the instructions and was greeted with an overhead view of this boy's bedroom. I really didn't expect the graphics to be so good. I wasn't expecting graphics, honestly. It reminded me a bit of that game, The Sims, but it was way less cartoony. Put together this digital world. It was a storyscape that they were talking about. I moused over the kid, and a little box popped up over his head. Jared Redford, 8, complex. I did the tutorial, which basically just walked me through Jared's first day of grade school. It played through kind of like a movie, the important scenes getting screen time and everything else being skipped over. How the program decides what is and isn't important is beyond me. It all seems pretty mundane so far. Supposedly there's an option to play through the entire day, but honestly, who has time for that? The first assignment I got was make new friends, and the tutorial showed me all my options for accomplishing that. Can't control Jared directly, but I can do a whole bunch of other things like make thoughts pop into his head, control the intensity of specific emotions, give him gut feelings, cause little muscle spasms, a bunch of other things. Seems like the whole point of giving the character free will was to have me bend it. Why not just let me control the character and be done with it? The whole day took me around 10 minutes to complete. I made a throwaway 5th grader, had him knock Jared's books out of his hands in the hallway. He ended up making friends with the 2 kids that helped him pick everything up. Man, wish someone came to my rescue like that when I was a kid. Maybe then I wouldn't have ended up as a recovering addict babysitting a digital 8-year-old. Times I thought about drinking today, 22. Times I thought about pills today, 29. Cigarettes smoked, 9. Entry 3, May 4th, 2019. The attention the developers pay to detail is impressive. It's been around 3 weeks, real time, since I started using the program, which translates to a little less than 3 years within the storyscape. Mikey and Jackson, the 2 kids who came to Jared's rescue on the first day of 3rd grade, have become his best friends in the entire world. The 3 of them are completely inseparable, which is why Jared was devastated when Jackson's parents started talking about moving to another town. It crushed him, understandably. Yes, in theory, they could still see each other, but they'd be at the mercy of their parents, who probably wouldn't want to make the 30-or-something minute drive all that often. Watching Jared try to pretend like everything was okay, even though he wanted to cry all the time, really hit home for me. He wasn't a freak or anything like that, but he did have a difficult time connecting with people. He's in his head a lot. Makes him appear awkward on the surface. Jackson was one of the few people who took the time to get to know Jared, to see him lose that. He deserves better. That's all I'm saying. I waited to see if the assignment would come in for me to stop Jackson's parents from moving. When it didn't, I decided to go ahead and stop them anyway. I made a throwaway, stuck her in a house that looked very much like the one that Jackson's parents were going to buy. I made it her purpose in life to sell that house for significantly below market value, and had her post up flyers around the area where Jackson's mom likes to power walk. I also made a second throwaway character, and had him drunk drive his car through the living room of the other house. It can never be too thorough. Long story short, it worked, and Jackson's family ended up moving right down the street from Jared. When Jared found out, and that cloud that had been hanging over his head disappeared, it felt like my insides unclenched at once. I hadn't even realized how tense I was. That's not the impressive part, though. When everything was said and done, I started to think about the throwaway character I created. I literally added a lot to Jared's neighborhood, and built a digital house on it instantaneously, yet no one within the storyscape batted a digital eye. I watched the throwaway I made walk her dog and stuff, and it seemed like people knew who she was, despite the fact that she didn't exist until a minute ago. They waved to her, said good morning, all that normal neighborly stuff. The program has this timeline feature, where you can go back and look at any event that happened from the day you booted up the program for the first time. It showed that the house was always there. The woman had always lived in it. I'm not exactly an expert on this kind of stuff, but it seems like the program retroactively generated a whole life to throw away. Sort of makes sense when you think about it. When I'm in public, I often think about the fact that every single person I pass on the street is living their own lives. They might be throwaways in my story, but in theirs, they're the main character. They have their own history, their own social security number, family, home, etc. If you were suddenly to take an interest in their lives and dig deep enough, you'll find all those things. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs that shows this person existed long before they flashed across your field of vision. If someone in the storyscape decided to play detective and couldn't find those breadcrumbs, that might raise more than a few red flags. I know that sounds crazy, but you wouldn't even believe how advanced this AI is. I sometimes forget that people I'm watching aren't real. The rules did say that complex characters have free will. Maybe that means they're capable of a higher level of thinking as well. Maybe it would be possible for them to figure out they're part of a simulation. Maybe it's already happened before. That's why the developers put in that feature. I wonder what happened to the characters that put all the pieces together. Times I thought about drinking today, 35. Times I thought about pills today, 19. A cigarette smoked, 8. Entry 4, May 17th, 2019. Middle school was more or less what you would expect. Puberty, self-discovery, peer pressure, the whole gauntlet, really. Everything except an interest in girls. I guess his hormones hadn't really reached critical mass yet. Maybe he's a late bloomer. The majority of the assignments were more long-term means meant to carry out in high school. Things like prepare for high school football and cultivate an interest in the forensics club. Maybe, both have been easy enough so far. For football, I've been increasing his feelings of happiness and determination every time he does something physical or watches football on TV. For forensics, I had a throwaway cause a programming error that made an episode of CSI pop up on a channel that Jared was watching after school. He started watching it on the internet now. They've also started giving me quick assignments to do at the same time. I have a theory that the program is trying to maintain some kind of equilibrium. Like, for every handful of positive effects, there's a few negative ones to balance them out. Guess it wouldn't be all that realistic if Jared was happy all the time. Honestly, I really don't like doing negative things to him. When I see him all sad and dejected over something he can't control, it makes me feel like someone punched me in the gut. It's like I'm looking at myself, 14 years old, wondering what I did to deserve the hurt that I was feeling. I wonder if he can also feel that feeling of powerlessness. It falls thick and dark around him like blackberry syrup. I wonder how often he feels like he's drowning in his own bedroom. I hope never. I don't want him to feel like I did. I don't want him to hate his life so much that he turns to drugs and alcohol to cope with it. He shouldn't have to mire through his life. I did enough of that for both of us. Times I thought about drinking today, 32. Times I thought about pills today, 41. Cigarettes smoked, 11. Entry 5, May 23rd, 2019. In a strange but very welcomed turn of events, Jared has a girlfriend. Not gonna lie, I was starting to think that he might be gay. Not that there was anything wrong with that, but he does live in a conservative town. I didn't want to have to deal with coming out in a place like that. It turns out that he hadn't met the right girl yet, and by that I mean he hadn't met any girl that even remotely interested him. Then Melody got transferred into his chemistry class. His jaw hit the floor so hard I had to remind him to close it before he drooled all over himself. It was like someone reached into his brain, took his idea of a perfect woman, and then stuck her in his class. Which might have been what actually happened, but we won't go there right now. Funny, I never would have thought redheads were his type. Guess that explains his disinterest in the rest of the local ladies. Melody was the first redheaded girl that I'd seen in the entire storyscape. I spent the whole class filling his head with confidence-boosting thoughts. I decided to exercise one of my most intrusive powers and hijack the little voice in his head. Take a deep breath. You got this. She's just a girl, nothing to be scared of. Look, she's smiling at you. Smile back. It felt weird being inside his head like that, especially when I imagined someone doing the same thing to me. But it really helped. After class, he was so pumped, he walked straight up to her and asked if she wanted to go see a movie. A few dates later, my man gets up the courage to ask her to be his girlfriend. No little voice required. And she says, yes! He was so happy, it actually brought a tear to my eye. First happy tear I've cried. Well, ever. Really. Times I thought about drinking today, 15. Times I thought about pills today, 17. Cigarettes smoked, 7. Entry 6th, June 10th, 2019. I hate myself. I hate myself. I hate whoever wrote these stupid assignments. I only got one assignment today. Probably would have gotten more if I stayed on, but I'm done for now. Maybe forever. I don't know. When the assignment to break his heart came in, I just stared at it for a while, long enough to see that the program wasn't going to allow the day to progress until I started to take necessary steps to do so. By the 5th or 6th loop, the program started reminding me that if I didn't complete the assignment, I would be fired. I just don't understand why he needed a heartbreak. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a learning experience and all that, but there's other ways to learn. Let the kid have his young love. Let it end naturally and be a fond memory for him, not something that pops into his head during bouts of insomnia. I don't use the word love lightly, by the way. Jared loved that girl. And it really showed in his actions. I'm no expert on love, but I know a good relationship. When I see one, she was a good influence on him. Maybe not directly. I mean, she drank a little more than I would have liked, but her presence made Jared want to do his best. Every test he aced for her. Every touchdown he scored for her. She became everything to him. Yeah, I acknowledge that. That probably wasn't healthy, but who cares? He was happy. Of course, I have to be the one to put a stop to that. I did my best to remind myself that this was just a simulation. Jared wasn't real, neither was Melody. But that wasn't working anymore. Doesn't matter if he's real or not. My connection to him's real. Thank God, I'm such an asshole. I did it for the money. That's all there is to it. I broke my little buddy's heart for a stupid paycheck, and not even a good one. Jesus. I did my best to make it so that Jared could heal. He had to hate her. That was going to happen. If she still had feelings for him or had any reason to keep asking himself, what if I had done things differently? Then this could become a weight that he carries for the rest of his life. High school romance or not. That stuff sticks with you. It was this party that they were supposed to go to. Just a typical no parents, no rules type of shindig on Friday night. Jared ended up deciding not to go. A week before, he'd showed up to a Saturday practice hungover and coach flew off the handle. He didn't want to risk it. He told Melody she should go. Trusted her completely. So in his mind, there was nothing to worry about. Made a throwaway. Boy from another school, chiseled, handsome, tall. Standard high school dreamboat. His purpose was to seduce her. I really hoped it wasn't going to work. How she felt the same way about Jared he felt about her. That she would have enough respect for their relationship, not throw it all away for one drunk hookup. She'd prove herself worthy of that trust. And the eggheads that made this program would look at the outcome and say, wow, I didn't expect that. Well, love is love. Can't mess with that. Wouldn't that be nice? Unfortunately, reality is very rarely nice. Apparently, the same goes for virtual reality. I had the throwaway take a video and send it around. It was an awful way for Jared to find out. But I had to make sure that he really, really hated her. So much so that it would eclipse how much he loved her. Worked. Maybe too well. He's been having reoccurring dreams, which, when I look inside them, I can see blurry images, really violent ones, where he does unspeakable things to a girl with fiery hair. He wakes up sweaty and crying, and usually, he can't fall back to sleep afterward. His grades are slipping. Coach moved him off the starting lineup. Dropped out of the forensics club. His life's falling apart right before my eyes, and it's all my fault. I don't think I can do this again. Times I thought about drinking, 42. Times I thought about pills today, 37. Cigarettes smoked, 16. Entry 7, June 11th, 2019. That stupid piece... Okay, I called that asshole that gave me this job and told him I was done. You know what he said to me? You can't quit. I told him there was literally nothing he could do to stop me. I didn't even want my last paycheck. I just wanted to delete the stupid program and forget any of this ever happened. I told him if the complex characters have free will, then I do too. And what I want is to put this whole stupid thing behind me. Tells me that if I quit now, they'll have to find someone else to write Jared. Hasn't he been through enough? I shouted on the phone. He hasn't fulfilled his purpose, he said to me so casually, like he was telling me he needed to stop by the store and pick up milk. I wished that I could reach to the phone and break his nose. Every character in the storyscape is a single part of a greater whole. They need to fulfill their purpose for the good of the story. I practically begged him to just leave Jared alone. AI or not, he can feel things. I know it. That prick that just kept saying that his hands were tied. We served the story, he kept saying. God, I'm so frustrated. I mean, what kind of sick guy or a group of sick guys does stuff like this? They created Jared, bestowed him with sentience, gave him feelings and free will. For what? Just so he could really feel the pain they intended to inflict on him? To make him smart enough to wish that he had never been born when his heart shattered into a million tiny pieces? What's his purpose? To be an addict? Because he sure as hell headed down that way with the amount that he's been drinking. I don't know. It might feel like I'm being overdramatic about the whole high school breakup thing, because listen to this. I overheard a conversation between Jared and his dad the other day. The program skips their interaction so often, I didn't even realize his mother wasn't in the picture. I did some digging. I found out his mom was ridiculously abusive. She used to lock Jared in a closet and make him kneel in frozen peas when he misbehaved. She said it was because he was an awful child born with poison inside him. He needed to learn to be well-behaved and not spread his poison to other people, or everyone he loved would die, her included. What a messed up thing to say to a child. She was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses and committed to a mental institution. I looked her up. She looked so pathetic. Drugged to high hell, glassy-eyed, slack-jawed, fire red hair so wild and unkempt, I would have believed it if you told me she was raised by wolves. I wanted to hate her for what she did to Jared, and then I moused over her and I found out she's a complex character too. And that means somebody probably wrote her into a psychotic break. It's not her fault. No, it's their fault. They're monsters. They're gonna keep bending Jared till he breaks. I can't quit. Next author won't give a rat's ass about him. I have to follow the assignment. But what I do in between them is up to me. I can spend my time making him happy, undo the hurt the assignments do. Whatever purpose screw whatever purpose he's meant to fulfill. I won't let him use him for their stupid story. Times I thought about drinking today, I don't count. Times I thought about pills today, no idea. Cigarettes I smoked, a lot. Entry 8, June 13th, 2019. I can't believe my eyes right now. I thought at first there was something wrong with the program, like some kind of graphical glitch or something like that, but I shut it down, I turned it back on. Nope, there it was. There it was. Assignment. Kill Melody. It probably shouldn't be as surprised as I am. I should have expected something like this from the pieces of the guys that made this program. They want to make Jared into a killer. That must be the purpose that they were telling me about on the phone. Well, I'm not doing it. We're not doing it. Not going to happen. They have absolutely no right to pull something like this. No. I want to find out where these wastes of human life work, and I'm going to end the whole office. Who the hell are they to play God? I need a drink. Entry 9. June 14th or 15th, 2019. His handwriting is getting pretty sloppy here, so it's hard to tell. I had to do it. I had to. I didn't want to, but I had to. I had to try to save him from it. I made a drunk driver hit him. I made a gunman try to shoot him. Put a pilot to crash a plane into his house. Quick, easy deaths. It's better for him. I called the asshole. Said, the Storyscape needs a serial killer. Serial killer? Serial killer? So Melody would be the first of many. No, I won't do that. You have to. Or we'll find someone who will. Oh yeah, well, I'll never let it happen. I'll sit here and I'll undo everything you try to do to him. Everything. I don't care if it takes the rest of my life. Fine. We'll find another killer. Jared will be his first victim. We'll make sure the next one likes to take things slow. Click. When I looked at the assignment again, it said hunt or be hunted. I couldn't let him be hunted. I tried to kill him all night. They just undid everything. Brought us right back to the beginning of the day. Jared didn't even know what was happening to him. It's better for him to be the hunter. Be happier that way. Pulled images from his dreams. Images of a girl with fire red hair, bound, gagged, trying her best to scream but only managing to muffle. Eyes wide, bloodshot. Cheeks streaked with tears, dried. Fresh. Pushed his happiness and satisfaction as high as it would go. I helped him make the plan. Mostly nudging him gently in the right direction, but hijacking the little voice in his head. I didn't want him to get caught. Have to rot in a jail cell. He deserved freedom. I let him pick the murder weapon, suggested a gun. Make it quick, easy. He didn't want it, though. He picked an axe. The forensics club had taught him that genetic material would be his undoing. He wore a hairnet, under a beanie, under a ski mask. Leather gloves, surgical mask. He wore dark clothes that covered as much skin as possible. He picked out a place to bring her. Old electrical shed in the woods behind his neighborhood. Hadn't been used in years. Lock was rusty, easy to break. He followed her for days. Waited for an opening. Football had made him fast enough to rush her before she knew what was going on, strong enough to knock her out in one punch, carry her unconscious body to his car. Tied her up, placed a gag in her mouth, just like in his dreams. Gave her a speech before he killed her. I wasn't really listening. Something about how much she hurt him. The little bit I did catch sounded ambiguous. He avoided specifics, focused on the pain. I could tell he'd gone over his speech 1,000 times in his head, maybe tens of thousands. He kept touching her hair. Kept running his fingers through it, looking at it with tear-blurred eyes, pressing handfuls of it to his nose. I think I counted 57 swings of the axe. She looked like mincemeat when he was done. Mushy pile of gore with fire-red, blood-matted hair. Plastic tarp that he put down beforehand made clean up really easy. A little check mark appeared next to the assignment. Jared slept more soundly that night than he had since the breakup. Bought a bottle of Jack Daniels. Entry 10. July 17th, 2019. There's more to this than I'm saying, I know it. Jared's real. He's real whether he's physically real or not. He isn't just lines of code wrapped in a convincing character model. What if the storyscape is just another dimension? That'd make me a deity of some sort who used his power to create a monster. He keeps killing. I haven't touched my keyboard. I just leave the program running while I drink, and Jared does what he does. Free will, my ass. I made him this. I manipulated him into making decisions he thought were his own. He only believed he had free will. maybe it's the same for me. I did everything I was told, reluctantly or otherwise. Kept following those assignments until they, whoever the hell they are, got whatever they wanted. They served the story, and I served them. There's a thought that keeps popping up in my head. How do I know my feelings are mine? My love for Jared. I need to protect him, see him happy. What if that was put inside my head? What if someone was sitting at their computer, jacking up my happiness, my empathy, my compassion? And I think about it, Jared and I didn't even have that much in common, but somehow I felt like we were kindred spirits. What if I haven't been the only one inside my head this whole time? What if I've never been the only one inside my head? I would explain it, my pain, my life, my addictions. All those are just parts of my story, little pieces of an inciting incident that would drive me to my purpose. What purpose? How many layers are there to this thing? How many endless authors out there, fingers dancing along their keyboards, keystrokes reaching into the storyscape to gently bend the free will of the complex characters. To do what? Write their storyscapes? Manipulate their characters? No, where does it begin? God, my head. Swimming. I won't be a part of this. I won't be someone's puppet. If my theory's right and I'm a complex character, then that means I have free will. I have the illusion of it, at least. As long as I live my actions, I'll never be my own, even if they feel that way. There'll always be an invisible hand guiding me. There will always be an author behind a keyboard. I won't let it happen. I will be free. I will be free. I will have free will. And I will be free. Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I wanted to say thank you for watching tonight's video. If you guys really liked today's video, feel free to check me out at patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. A bunch of you already did, like Taysia-lynn, Genobaga-Arneho, Erik Mary, Daniel Poulsen, Trace Miles, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Tine-Janzen, Nicholas Saeid Alyain, Buddy Burroughs, Ramberg, Goonington, G. Weevil 3, Diane Kraus, Asia, Gabrielle de Baca, TheRedOakShieldVirus, Sandy Barney, Melissa Sweigart, Chompski, Daniel Rowe, TheGingerBroz, Robert Ramirez, Andrew Stenberg, Holy Realm, Ralph Rodriguez, and Dr. Strawberry. A very special thank you to you guys for being the top supporters on Patreon, and honestly, any support at all is really appreciated. So if you're watching on YouTube, listening to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, or Google Play, or I guess anywhere you can manage to find a podcast, a huge thank you to you guys as well. Oh, also, if you want to help support my wife, she runs a tea shop over on Etsy, etsy.com/ivorymonocle. She actually does Dungeons & Dragons themed stuff, but she just started doing a Final Fantasy and Harry Potter tea set, so that might be something you'd like on a dark and stormy night. Sweet dreams, kids.